Hey guys, so I finally have all of my distractions out of the way and I can get back to working on this. I hate how long this has taken to get this hole closed up on this stem wall replacement. So I didn't record it last week, but I got this wall supported with I basically just added a board that's attached to this interior wall and then attached it to here. I started thinking this wall is so light that could definitely hold it. So I put like, I don't know, 10 structural screws into that stud on this interior wall and then a bunch into the stud right here, and I knocked my temporary support board out. It's been holding itself up just fine. So then I was able to knock the rest of the old stem wall and footer that was here out, and I dug it out, and then I was working on leveling all this out whenever I ran out of time last weekend. This is my old existing sill plate, which is actually I didn't even notice how rough this is, but there's still bark and like a knot in the wood right here. So that was obviously a very rough sawn piece of lumber. This is the one that was pretty termite damaged that I had planned on replacing, and then I decided not to, and then now I am. The people in my temporary shower video that were commenting and suggesting that I just shower outside obviously have ignored all of the parts of my videos where I'm constantly swatting gnats and mosquitoes. Anyway, so I don't know if you can see or not, but I have one form board up on the inside. That's going to be my footer form. And then I'm going to have to build, I think I need to dig a little bit more to get it a little bit more level. And then I can put my exterior footer board up, and then I can frame up for the stem walls. And then do that, get rebar in, and I'm hoping, my goal for today is to get that all ready to where I could just focus on tomorrow pouring concrete, which would be really cool if I could get this taken care of this weekend. I think that I can. I think I have enough time to get my forms and rebar finished today, and then I can just give myself all day tomorrow to mix up concrete and pour it in here. So the way that this existing drain plumbing is, I can't get an ideal footer in here. My stem wall isn't going to be able to be centered on my footer, which is what you usually would want. But the good thing is this isn't a load-bearing wall. It just supports its own weight, which is not much at all. It's a really short wall. And then just a little bit of the roof sits on it. So I'm going overkill with the width and the depth. So I think that the stem wall not being centered on the footer is not going to cause us an issue. The only reason that would ever usually cause you a problem is if it causes the whole thing to kind of tilt like this, because there's not an even amount of footer sticking out on both sides of it. I don't think it's going to be a problem here, but it's kind of my only option. It's either that or pull all of the sewer pipe out all the way out to the yard and then redo it to where it comes farther into the room. But the way that where they stubbed it up, it's just in the way for me to do an ideal footer. So I'm just going as far in as I can to avoid that sewer pipe without hitting that sewer pipe. I'm starting there, and then I'm pulling over this way. I think 12 inches, I'm pretty sure, is what I'm doing. And then we're doing it that way. I'd be a little bit more hesitant to do this if this was like a major load-bearing wall, but it's this wall, like I keep mentioning, I can pick this wall up myself, just grabbing it and like move it up and down, because it's just a couple of 2x4s and then the sheathing and then the vinyl siding is all that's on it, and it's only this tall. Or it's actually shorter than that because the wall starts right here, so it's here to here. Well, there's all my leftover rebar from the retaining wall. I knew I was gonna have a lot left over, but luckily I knew I was gonna use it up somewhere else. And I got a spool of tie wire. So I guess that's what we're starting on next. So this form is definitely not meant to impress anybody. This is just I was just trying to make it go as quick as I could. Typically, people don't even form footers. They just dig their trench to the size that it needs to be, but I couldn't do that since I couldn't dig from the right angle to make that happen. So I had to form it up. It's mostly made out of trash at this point. I didn't bring enough 2x10s out here from the shop, and then I used the shelf that I tore out of that extra room for probably more than half of it. So I don't intend to show this form up very close. I've said it a while ago, but I am not a tutorial channel. I'm not trying to teach anybody how to do anything because I don't know anything good enough to be an instructor, anything like this anyway. Really hope I can get that in there one way or another. Oh yeah, just barely. So this is probably going to be the only concrete anywhere on the house that actually has rebar in it. Everything I've touched so far has none. I wasn't going to take the time or money to buy those little rebar chairs. You know, they're only like 70 cents a piece, but I got plenty of rocks. I've seen a lot of guys do that before. Okay, so there's my 2 continuous ones for the footer. Just need to do a couple of stub ups to go up into the stem wall, and then I'll need to do some continuous, probably 2 continuous ones through the stem wall also. I'm so tired of working in this hole. Everything being in the way all the time, slipping and falling down, always on a slope. No better inside the bathroom either, the way that I got the ground all dug out. And even though it hasn't cooled off hardly at all, the leaves are falling. And I got so many trees. I do not like these self-lock tape measures. I bought that thing like 7 years ago. I've been cursed by it. It won't break. And I don't want to get rid of it if it's not broken, but I hate using it. All right, well, it's concrete day. I got 20 bags here. That should be plenty. I think when I did one of the online concrete estimators, I should only need like 16, either 15 or 16, so I got a few extras. This is not something I'm very experienced in at all, but I'm gonna be mixing it in the wheelbarrow and then just shoveling it in. Pretty much just kind of gonna see how it goes. I'm not gonna put any type of release agent on my forms. I've seen guys just spray them with water and soak them really good. I assume that works. So I just sprayed them down so they're all wet right now, and then I was about to start taking it over. I parked my truck up here, so I just have to go from here to just right over behind the camera got my water hose ready, got all my tools ready. I have a hoe out here somewhere, but I can't find it. I'm not sure where it is, but I know I had one at one point, but that's what people that's what they generally recommend you to use to mix it in a wheelbarrow. I guess I'm just going to use my pickaxe, see how that goes. But the footer should take about 9 to 10 bags, and then the wall should take 4 to 5, I think. So I'm going to fill the footer in from the outside, and I'm going to fill the stem wall in from the inside, because that's where I have access to it. So I guess there's not much more to say than that. Well, that first mix was definitely way too dry. Maybe not way too dry, but it was definitely a little dry. Mixing 2 bags at once just wasn't good. Anyway, it was really hard to mix it, and I definitely had the water wrong. And then it was just a lot to shovel out all at once. I've been doing 1 bag at a time since then. Everything is going way better. There's just a lot of concrete to push around inside of this wheelbarrow. 2 bags. I was just thinking the wheelbarrow is so big that I had plenty of room for it, but I didn't think about how much more mix that was to push around to get the water to all distribute evenly. Just about got the footer filled in. Filling up the stem wall is going to be kind of a pain because I have to fill it up from inside the house. And the condition I have the bathroom in, I don't think I can get a wheelbarrow right next to it. But luckily that should only be like 4 bags worth. This was the majority out here. I've been going ahead and kind of roughly pushing all this into space so it's not just a big mound after every wheelbarrow full. And I'm also trying to make sure I push it back so it's actually filling up that portion all the way to the other side of the form, so I don't have a big hole I have to fill in when I get in there. Plus this is a nice break from mixing and shoveling. Looks like maybe one or maybe 2, probably 2 more bags, and probably be done with this footer. Form's holding up, which I wasn't really worried about it. They ended up being pretty strong. I was able to drive a lot of those stakes pretty deep into the ground. Okay, here's what it looks like from a distance. Never said it would look good or professional. That corner, I guess I'm just gonna have to wait on. I can't come up with a good way to fill it in until I got that temporary brace out of the way. So, that's just gonna have to get filled in later. I've got it mostly filled in, it just needs a little bit more, but that 2x4 is just too in my way to get it from the inside or the outside. Here's what it looks like in here. We'll see what it looks like when I pull the forms off. I'll probably pull them off day after tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to come back tomorrow to pull them off. But at least on the top, it doesn't look too bad. It definitely looks like it'll work. I don't know what it's going to look like behind those forms, because some of it was pretty chunky going in there. I don't really see how it would have smoothed out, but we'll just see, I guess. Overall, not too bad, I don't think. Ended up using 12 bags, which has me a little bit concerned that it may have not filled in at the bottom as much as it needed to, but I also did overestimate everything, so hopefully it's good, but we'll address it if it needs to be addressed if it ends up looking like it's not going to work. Here's what it looks like out here. All that's fresh. It's where I was trying to fill in some of that side a little bit. And for the most part, like, all this is pretty good. A lot of this is like the new stuff that was falling down, and I never troweled it or anything, so it kind of just stayed as pebbles. But all this is setting up pretty nice, and it looks pretty good. Good enough to be buried forever. So that's all that it's going to be. This has just been a really labor-intensive day, carrying the bags, and mixing it is a lot of work, actually, and then shoveling it, carrying the bucket in. I don't know, it just, like, all of a sudden 2 bags ago, I just lost all my energy. So, fortunately, I got at least everything that I wanted to get done, and hopefully it looks okay when we pull the forms off. Alright, so I came straight here after work. It's time to pull these forms. It's been 2 days. I poured this on Sunday, and today's Tuesday afternoon. From what I see, it looks pretty good, I think. I'm nervous for sure to pull these forms off, see what it looks like behind those. I don't have super high hopes, just because I know that I really didn't know what I was doing here, but I guess let's just see. I'm going to start taking this apart. Okay, so I definitely didn't fill in good underneath that. I've got a big dip here. Alright, first form. Oh, not bad. Seriously. Better than I expected. It's not amazing, but it doesn't look super terrible to me. That's more like what I was expecting down there. Yeah, so this top looks pretty good, but it's really rough down here. I had a feeling that was what was going to happen. So all this that looks so good is the portion that was mixed so wet, I was worried it wasn't going to set up. This was all really slushy and sloppy, even though I put the same amount of water in it. But all this was all the stuff that looked like it was mixed right, according to my limited knowledge. And it cured pretty much how I expected it to, because I didn't see how that was going to smooth out. I guess as long as it's still strong. Didn't stick to the boards at all. Anywhere, it came right off. Let me stand back. I think it could be worse. It's solid at least. I can't move it either direction, which I was a little worried about with it all being, none of it being buried. I didn't know if it was going to be shaky at all, but seems solid. Looks like I ended up with about the right space to slide a 2x4 in there. Let's see if I have a piece of a 2x4 I could try to stick in there. Right here isn't fitting. Right there isn't fitting. I'll have to double check and see what it takes to get that level. Because this, I know I shot the top of this with a laser. I just have this wall picked up out of the way, so I don't know if the bottom of all these studs are actually sitting level or if they need to come up a little bit so that I can slide a 2x4 in there, and then it should just be level. And I also just wanted to mention, for reference, the old footer ended about right here. That's how deep it went into the ground. So you can see how much deeper I've gone. I should be well below the frost line with this, if this holds up. But regardless, I really think it's better than what was there with how solid it is. I just hope it's pretty resistant to cracking, since it already is so porous. And there's these spots. I've got these joints where I was having to fill in on each side of those little braces I put there, and it obviously wasn't really mixing down underneath those. So it's almost like it's already separated in some places. I guess I'll see what it looks like on the outside, because I'm about to go out there and pull those forms off. I don't think it's terrible. I think it could be worse. So it looks like we got pretty similar result out here. It's very chunky. I'm a little bit amazed by how stuck in there that is. There we go. I think it'll hopefully work. I don't know. I don't feel incredible about it, but it is a really light wall. I don't think I would try this again on any other part of the foundation where there's a lot more weight involved. It's an improvement over what was there. Well, that's all that I really have time to do today. I got out here pretty late, got off work pretty late. Like I keep saying, could be worse. I'm not extremely disappointed in the results. At least it's really strong. At least it's not all cracking and busting apart, you know. I was a little bit worried that if I pried on it as I was taking those forms off, it would all just be crumbling and busting. But I mean, it seems strong. I think it'll do its job. And I'm glad to not have a humongous gaping hole into the house anymore. I don't feel like I need to keep that temporary door locked anymore. There's just like a little hole that like a small animal could crawl in right here, but the rest of it is closed off, so at least a person can't climb in there now. I'll be glad to get the rest of that filled in right there in that corner and get this all buried and move on to drains back to where I thought that I was like a month ago, or a couple months ago maybe. I don't know how long ago that was whenever I had the plumbers out here. Never even heard back from those guys, so I assume that they were not interested in the job. So I need to get this finished up and buried and then clean up inside the bathroom a little bit, make it look a little bit more appealing, and I guess call a different plumber and see if they would be interested in running my drains. And then once I do that, I'm definitely going to get, after this, I'm not going to attempt the slab by myself. I'm definitely going to get someone that knows what they're doing to help with that. So there's the latest update on the bathroom. The first section of new foundation is done in the house. I'm still, this is a good learning experience to do all this stuff before I attempt anything in the main portion of the house. So, sorry for the slow progress recently. I got a lot of stuff going on right now. But things should speed up here pretty soon. And still making progress where I can. I hope you guys enjoyed this video a little bit. Thanks for watching.